Why are Nigerian refineries always broken?
We cannot continue to be slaves while we export raw materials, then we import products.
Since the return to democracy in 1999, every administration has promised to fix Nigeria's 4 refineries and get them to function at full capacity. Some even promised to do the impossible by making the said refineries profitable. This quest has led to the country piling on huge debt, with the NNPC spending $25 billion in the past 10 years on fixing the refineries. But how do you justify such expenses when the refineries are always broken, even after the maintenance and rehabilitation? Let's take a look at some figures to help you understand what I'm saying. Nigeria's 4 public refineries have reportedly taken $25 billion from the country's coffers in cost of maintenance and rehabilitation over the past 10 years. Yet, they seem to require more and more repairs without coming close to ending Nigeria's reliance on imported fuel. According to a Business Day report, Nigeria spent 82.82 billion naira on maintenance of these broken refineries in 2015. Even though that investment yielded little to nothing, the Buhari administration decided to bring out the checkbook yet again and throw more money at the problem in 2016, 2017 and 2018, spending 78.95 billion naira, 604.127 billion naira and 426.66 billion naira in 2016, 2017 and 2018 respectively on the refineries. In 2019, despite still struggling to get them to work, the NNPC still spent 218.18 billion naira on the refineries. Between January and June 2020, 64.534 billion naira was spent on the 3 refineries. The 2021 refineries expenses stood at 100 billion naira. But you know the shocking part in all of this? An audited report of the NNPC showed that these 4 refineries had combined losses of 154.54 billion naira in 2018 and 252 billion naira in 2017. Despite these huge amounts spent to rehabilitate the refineries, a National Assembly investigation showed that they were producing at less than 30% capacity. In an article published in March 2021, the Guardian newspapers reported that the whopping sum of $26.5 billion, which the federal government has so far spent on the maintenance of its loss-making 444,000 barrels per day capacity refineries, is capable of building 3 new refineries of the same size, going by the cost analysis of refinery projects across the world. So, why is Nigeria stuck in this painful circle of trying to revive an arguably dead horse? This is Ibe Kachikwu, the former Minister of State for Petroleum Resources during Muhammadu Buhari's first term in office. In June 2019, Mr. Kachikwu explained why the country's 4 refineries in Port Harcourt, Warri and Kaduna are still in terrible shape despite all the huge amount of money invested into them. According to Mr. Kachikwu, the first problem the administration of Buhari had was that the refineries were not even functioning or producing anything at all. The pipelines that were supplying petroleum products had all been destroyed, and the previous government of Goodluck Jonathan had entered into a contract to buy products by vessels. The challenge though was that the cost of those vessels supplying were more than the crude that was being supplied. So it didn't make any financial sense to continue in those contracts. So with President Buhari's approval, Kachikwu cancelled the contracts. He didn't stop there. He proposed a deal to stakeholders in the oil sector to use their own money to repair the pipelines. And if after 3 months they worked, the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation would pay or give maintenance contracts to their companies. By March of 2016, the refineries started producing, even though not up to the 90% capacity, but at least they were adding close to 2 or 3 million barrels according to Kachikwu. However, there's something called turnaround maintenance in crude oil refining. This is a comprehensive planned shutdown of an entire facility or a major unit. It involves preventive maintenance, upgrades, or unplanned extensive repairs that could last from weeks to months and cause complete production halts. According to Mr. Kachikwu, the first of these turnaround maintenance were all a failed exercise as billions and billions of naira were spent on these repairs, yet the machines kept packing up. Now, it's good to note that the NNPC has 4 major refineries. 2 of them are in Port Harcourt, Rivers State, which combine to form the Port Harcourt Refining Company, PHRC, with a combined installed capacity of 210,000 barrels per stream day. The Nigerian Refinery and Petrochemical Company Limited, KRPC, has an installed capacity of 110,000 BPSD, that is barrel per stream day. And the Warri Refining and Petrochemical Company Limited has an installed capacity of 127,000 barrels per stream day. Now, all of these refineries have a combined installed capacity of 444,000 barrels per day, but none of them were profitable. They were all running at a loss, some even completely shut down. Well, after a series of deliberations, Kachikwu said he created a business module whereby investors could invest in the refineries and make the refineries start working at about 90% capacity, which would then move production from an average of 50,000 barrels per day to an average of 300,000 barrels per day. The profit from it would be used to offset the loans, taking over a period of 4 to 5 years, which was the next best solution. The best situation, according to this former minister, would have been to sell these refineries. So our question going into this research was, why did the government hold on to these bad investments if the best course of action was to sell? In December 2023, 4 years on from the big revelation by Mr. Kachikwu, there was a press release from the new Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Henneken Lokobiri, announcing the, quote, mechanical completion of repairs ongoing at the Port Harcourt Refinery. The minister also promised that the refinery would resume operations by the end of the year, 2023 that is. Now, this was great news for Nigerians who have grown accustomed to fuel scarcity in the country, despite being among the top oil-producing nations in the world. At full capacity, the Port Harcourt Refinery can refine 60,000 barrels per day, which is approximately over 10 million liters of petrol. This number of liters can help to reduce the burden caused by the importation of refined products, and since it is produced locally now, it could also help to reduce the price of petroleum products, which affects every other item in the country. You see, this announcement was a huge win for Nigeria. Well, until it wasn't. You see, when the NNPC gave a statement detailing completed works, equipment installation, and the, of course, mechanical completion of the Port Harcourt Refinery, Nigerians didn't realize that this might be just one of the renewed hope agenda. Months later, we would learn that the announcement was in fact premature and can even be tagged as misleading to the general public, as this refinery is still not able to process crude oil. Again, another renewed hope that didn't really solve the Nigerian problem of relying on imported fuel. So, why does Nigeria consistently fail to fix its refineries? The challenges identified by several experts are poor management, then corruption, sabotage, and a lack of political will to do so. According to former President Olusegun Obasanjo, these 4 Nigerian refineries will never work as long as the government continues to hold on to them. The former president revealed in an interview with The Cable that he once approached Shell Oil Development Company to help the country run its refineries, but the oil giants bluntly rejected his offer.
I went, when I was president, I went and called Shell. I said, Shell, look, come and help us. Run the refinery. Take part. You can take 10%, you can take 20%, but come on. They said no. I said, okay, all right. If you don't want to take equity, come and run it for me. They said no.
According to the former president, after much persuasion, The managing director of Shell at the time told him that the oil company wouldn't get involved in running Nigeria's refineries, partly because there was, quote, too much corruption involved. The Shell executive also told the former president that Nigeria's refineries would be bad for business for the oil giants because globally, companies are going for bigger refineries because of the economics of refineries. Nigeria's refineries were just too small to make profits for them. Obasanjo further revealed how Aliko Dangote and Femi Otedola approached him to save Nigeria the trouble of wasting money on these endless repairs. According to the former president, the billionaires were interested in buying 2 of the 4 refineries. They wanted 51% stake in Port Harcourt and Kaduna with an offer of $761 million to be paid in 2 installments. Unfortunately, late President Yar'Adua cancelled the sale amidst investigation of corruption and returned the refineries back to the NNPC. For decades, Nigerian refineries have reportedly been used as cash cows for corrupt politicians who make more money from Nigeria's fuel importation. Hence, would do just about anything to sabotage all efforts to refining it at home. Maintenance budgets were allegedly diverted into their pockets. When the Federal Executive Council approved $1.5 billion for the rehabilitation of the Port Harcourt Refinery back in March 2021, there were some suspicions, but Nigerians thought things would be different this time around. However, the government still failed to deliver. But that was not the only time money was approved for these refineries, with the promise that they would finally work this time. In August 2021, the Federal Executive Council approved another $1.48 billion for repairs at the Warri and Kaduna refineries. However, with all that money spent, experts believe the refineries units still cannot process crude oil into refined products. Critical work remains unfinished in these refineries. So the question is, can these refineries be fixed, or is it time to cut our losses and move on? The amount of money that has gone into trying to get them fixed clearly shows that the former president Olusegun Obasanjo may indeed have a very valid point. These refineries may never get off the ground. So, why are we not considering the idea of building new ones instead of spending billions of scarce forex on trying to rehabilitate these dead ones? What is the cost of building a new refinery? Nigeria recently commissioned Dangote Refinery in May 2023, albeit uncompleted at the time. There were hopes that the massive investment would transform the country into a net exporter of petroleum products. The government of President Muhammadu Buhari said the refinery was the answer to Nigeria's repeated fuel shortages. Now, for context, Nigeria spent $23.3 billion in 2022 on petroleum products imports and consumes around 33 million liters of petrol per day. Dangote's 650,000 barrels per day refinery plans to produce 53 million liters a day, by far one of the largest single refineries in the world. So the question then is, if the Dangote refinery cost $19 billion to build, and it's clearly a massive petrochemical complex that solves loads of problems for the Nigerian people, why have we spent $25 billion over the past 10 years servicing these ones that clearly will never work? Oh, and who is trying to sabotage Dangote? The Nigerian government needs to do what is best for the nation, as opposed to prioritizing profits for the contractors that keep getting their hands on these endless maintenance deals. Bold decisions need to be made with regards to things taking money without results. And there's a side of those benefiting from Nigeria spending ridiculous sums on fuel subsidies that would otherwise cease to exist should we have a functional refinery. So, when exactly will the Nigerian government decide to put the country and its people first in its decision making? Thank you for watching this episode of Declassified on News Central TV. I'm Jude Bella, and I'll see you in the next one.